Hi, this is Bridgit Danner and welcome back to your non-toxic swap series. Today we are going to be doing a pantry swap. So the topic of food and nutrition and what we should all be eating is a huge topic. So today we're gonna focus on a few toxic ingredients, so to speak, and how to avoid them. So I'm going to be heading into my pantry and I want you to actually get into your pantry as well. So bring your laptop or your phone, or after this video is done, move on into your pantry because this is about you making some changes as well. So when you think about foods to review for toxicity, we have fresh foods like fresh meat and vegetables, and then we have dry pantry items. And then you can also think about the food pyramid. So at the top you have more nutrient-dense foods like dairy and meat and fish, and then as you go down the pyramid you have things more like grains. So let's take a look in my pantry and get ready to look in your pantry as well. So this is my actual pantry and some actual foods I have, and then plus I also stashed some foods in here that I don't eat but I want to review with you as well. So I think one thing we hear a lot about is fresh foods. I don't keep these in my pantry, but we hear a lot about fresh foods, and it is always best to choose organic whenever you can afford it. And there's some foods that are harder to wash off insecticides and herbicides, so you can check Environmental Working Group's website for that. But things like berries that are pretty hard to clean, I usually try to buy organic. And just a little tip that as you look at labels, at something that's organic will have an extra number. It'll have a 5-digit number and a 9 on the front. And if it's not organic, it will just have a 4-digit number on the little code. So just as a couple examples, this is a yogurt that is non-GMO. We'll talk more about that in a minute. So that just means the added ingredients are not genetically modified, but it is not organic, and it is high on the food pyramid. So if this cow ate grains that were made with GMO grains, well, this says non-GMO, but if it were made with grains that were had chemicals in them, they would be in the cow's milk and its tissue. So when you choose meat and fish and dairy products, it's really a time that you want to go organic or grass-fed as much as possible. So this product is grass-fed. It doesn't say organic because it wasn't fed like organic grain, but it was fed out in grass, which is what cows are supposed to eat. So this is a higher quality butter, and it's really affordable, and you can get it like Trader Joe's, so it's really easy. So not every choice that you make for better, less toxic food has to be expensive. So next, let's talk a little bit about GMO. Like, what is that even? Why do you need to know about it? So GMO stands for genetically modified organism. It means they've taken the genes and they've done something to them. Mostly with food, it's making the crop resistant to a certain herbicide called Roundup. So if the food has been genetically modified, it definitely means it's been sprayed with Roundup. And who knows what else. Now weeds are becoming Roundup resistant, so they're getting really heavily sprayed. And every time you're getting insecticide and herbicide, you're getting a chance to get heavy metals, and you're getting susceptible to diseases like cancers, reproductive diseases, ADHD in your kids. So the more you can avoid GMO, the better. The good news is so far there aren't too many products that are GMO, but they're really prevalent. So the crops you want to look for are corn, soy, sugar, canola oil, and cottonseed oil. Those are the main ones to focus on. So for instance, corn is in a lot of things, and so is soy. So let's get started here. So this is a corn chip, right, with a lot of yummy, delicious processed stuff on it. So it definitely doesn't say organic or non-GMO, and it just says corn, vegetable oil, more corn, canola, which is another GMO crop. And if we go further down to some of these dairy products and sugar, it's also probably GMO. It has MSG, which makes a flavor taste really delicious and excites your brain, but it's not so good for your body or your kids. It's got artificial colors that can have heavy metals in them. So I really want to tell you that it's not really about being bad or being good. You're not a bad person if you eat a Dorito, or a good person if you don't. It's really not a guilt thing. It's just like being aware that there's a lot of toxicity in this bag of chips, and it's your decision. So there may be times that you decide to have it, or it may be such with your health right now that you decide not to have it. And the good news is there's always alternatives. So, okay, is eating chips in general like the healthiest thing? No, but you can make a better choice for chips if you want to have chips. This is an organic chip. You can see the label, you can see it's non-GMO, and the other added ingredients are better as well. Organic sunflower oil, for instance, and sea salt. So you still get to enjoy chips, but just a little better quality. And then MSG and corn and soy, I just wanted to show an example of where it can hide. So this is like a bouillon for soup that I used to buy. So I thought it looks pretty nice and classy, but if you go to read the ingredients, it does have MSG and probably GMO ingredients because it doesn't say non-GMO. So it contains corn syrup solids and hydrolyzed soy protein. Hydrolyzed soy protein is just another way to say MSG. So this is why it's making your soup taste delicious. So great to become a label reader and start to avoid some of these ingredients. You know, some of these you actually may notice your heart rate increase after you eat them, and that's your body reacting to some of these ingredients and trying to process them. Okay, moving on to a few more examples. So this is a drink. My son's in baseball right now, and I'm seeing a lot of this handed out to kids. First ingredient is high fructose corn syrup, and you can bet your bottom dollar that's a GMO crop that has herbicide on it. It also has artificial flavorings and all sorts of stuff that you probably want to avoid. So if you want to get something for your kids that has electrolytes, this is what we give to our son. It's just a little powdered electrolyte that we get at the natural health food store. And you just mix it with water yourself. So there's always alternatives is the good news. All right, next let's talk a little bit about cooking oils, which is a huge topic. So a lot of vegetable oils. Mostly in our culture, we like an oil that's kind of flavorless and mild. And that usually means it's heavily processed. So there's a lot of canola oil, vegetable oil out there, and most of it is GMO, as we learned about earlier. This one happens to be non-GMO and expeller pressed. Most canola oil uses a solvent to break it down, and that solvent is toxic as well. So this one is a little better, but it's still in plastic, which we learned about earlier, and that plastic is leaching into the fat for sure. So this one's a little better, but still probably to be avoided. So what's a great choice is something like an olive oil, which can take a good amount of heat, maybe not to the temperature of frying, but a good amount of heat. You can see this one's non-GMO. It is not organic, but one thing I liked about this one is it's local to the United States, so you're being beneficial to the environment to not have it shipped all over the place. Sometimes with companies, you know, there's a little misleading labeling. So sometimes olive oil is not pure olive oil and it's mixed with other vegetable oils. So just do your best to find brands that you can trust. And next, let's look a little bit at salad dressings. So salad dressings are like toxins in a bottle. They're so delicious and we don't want to give them up, but let's look at this. So it's got soybean and or canola oil, probably both GMO crops. Sugar could be GMO. It has MSG in it and artificial flavors. So this can be a tough one to try to figure out. How do you replace your favorite delicious salad dressing? Already somebody thought of that. This is a brand called Primal Kitchen, and it makes a ranch dressing that's really lovely. It's made with pressed avocado oil. It's soy and canola free. It's dairy free. So there's other brands as well. There's one called Paleo Chef I like. This is definitely going to be more expensive than this guy, but you don't need to use a ton, right? You would be more judicious in how much you use if you have a more expensive salad dressing. This is so cheap because the ingredients are so cheap. So often these crops are subsidized by our governments and they can come to you pretty cheap. This is not as cheap to make, so it's not as cheap to buy. Another option is you can make it yourself. If you're more of a DIY person, you can certainly make salad dressings yourself as well. So, kind of to sum all this up, Choose organic as much as you can, especially if it's high on the food pyramid or if it's something that gets sprayed a lot, and you can check the environmental working group for that. And then avoid GMO foods. Get to know these few crops that are GMO and avoid them as much as possible because they will be sprayed with toxic stuff. And then lastly, avoid processed stuff as much as you can. So, you know, again, everything you eat is your choice. But if something has artificial flavors and colors, it probably also has some other ingredients that aren't so good for you, and you can find a better alternative. Thanks so much for watching, and stay tuned. We've got a couple more videos in this series.